Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are Modern Musings. We are three women that like to talk about stuff. I am Amber Jones, and I'm here with Kristen Blakely and Cindy Murray.
Hello.
So, the stuff we're talking about, this stuff I like to talk about is literature.
Always.
Yes. Always. I can talk forever about literature, and especially how it, especially older stuff, how it's related to real life. So, because...
I was just gonna point out, because
Yeah.
a lot of people go, why do I want to read classic literature? That doesn't have anything to do with now.
No, but it is.
But people think that. They do.
They really do. Yeah, it so relates to now, especially in this economy.
Yeah.
It so relates to now, especially. And you know what? When I came up with this topic, I didn't think that the world was going to be as it, because we come up with these like a year or so in advance.
Yeah.
A year and a half in advance, and we map them out and everything like that. A little bit of insight into how we come up with our topics. We each have a pool of topics that we choose from that we want to host and everything. And so when I was coming up with this topic like 2 years ago or so, I didn't think that America would be as it is today, or the world would be as it is today. It's amazing how things change so rapidly out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like that, the human condition. We should totally do a episode on that.
oh, we should write it down. Write it down.
Put it on the list.
Write it down. Put it in your little
And that
notebook.
goes to our listeners too. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, send us a message. That doesn't mean we definitely will, because we are very selective in what we discuss. But
And we have a long wait list.
And we have
Yeah,
a long
we do
wait
have
list.
a long wait list, but yeah, send us a message.
ideas. Yeah.
Send us ideas, and we can't guarantee that it'll be next year, because we're about to start picking topics for next year.
But the sooner you send,
the sooner
more
you
likely
send it to
it'll
it,
be.
the more. Yeah, I can't guarantee next year, but maybe the year after. Especially those of our loyal listeners that listen every week. If you want us to talk about something, I remember Melanie texted Kristen and she was like, I've been waiting for y'all to talk about this. So,
So don't wait. Just tell us.
Don't wait. Just tell us
wanna
what
listen
you
to it.
want to talk about. So, anyway, we're talking about Dante's Inferno. And if you don't know what Dante's Inferno is, it was first written in Italian, okay? And it is written poetically. It's written where, and the poetic structure is called terza rima. So, that means third rhyme. So, every third line is rhymed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I could get into... So, each stanza has 3 lines, and the third line is rhymed. And I could, get deeper into that if y'all want me to. But, so, it's the Inferno is part of what Dante calls his Divine Comedy. And so, it's in 3 parts. Part 1 is the Inferno, and that's hell. Part 2 is Purgatorio, which is purgatory. And part 3 is Paradiso, which is paradise. And so so it's written in 3 parts, and we're just going to talk about part 1, which has always fascinated me ever since college, which is the levels of hell. And there are 9 levels of hell. And you would think that, and most of them are dedicated to a certain type of sin. And this is where it kind of messes with me, because how many deadly sins are there?
7.
7.
Yes.
Okay. Well, on here, there are 8 sins. not 7.
Okay.
Oh.
Which is interesting because like a lot of literature goes, especially when it's talking about stuff like that, it goes in the rules of 7. Like this, like for example, Poe in his Mask of the Red Death, there are 7 rooms representing 7 colors, which represent the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
So it's interesting. There are 9 rooms only, but 8 sins dedicated. So, or 9 circles, not rooms. But circle 1 would be limbo, and that's not really dedicated to any sin. That is just like you're
in limbo.
You're dead and you're in limbo. You're not going anywhere. You're not being tortured. You're just there.
And just to clarify, when she's talking about circles, these are concentric circles that you go deeper and deeper and deeper into. So, yeah.
So then circle 2 would be lust, which is one of the deadly sins. Mm-hmm. And lust is lust contains, well, do you want me to go ahead and talk about like what is happening in these circles?
List all
Let
of
me
them
circle
first.
and then we'll talk about
Yeah.
it. Okay. So number 2 would be lust. Number 3 is gluttony.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is greed. Number 5 is wrath. Number 6 is heresy. Number 7 is violence. Number 8 is fraud. And number 9 is treachery.
Okay.
And so basically, like, I wanted to talk about how it kind of relates to real life. So the 7 deadly sins obviously relate to real life. First of all, just by like saying all of these, where do y'all think that y'all fall in your living hell?
Ooh, is this a hells of my own creations?
Yeah, it could be hells of your own creation. Or like in your head, where do you think that you fall?
I feel like as just a human person, as a human being, an anonymous person, maybe speaking for all of us, we all fall into all of them. Like, I feel like we're all a little guilty of all of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think though
to some
the
extent,
one that's
obviously.
predominantly that I am guilty of, let's put it that way, I'm predominantly guilty of is the gluttony.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. And because I don't eat for sustenance only. I eat for pleasure, and sometimes I eat for self-medication of emotional baggage, right? So if you're talking about which one do I feel like I'm most guilty of, it would be gluttony. Now, if I'm talking about society around me, that one is hard because I think it would be
and you don't have to take this literally, like gluttony is eating or overeating or whatever.
No, because
you don't have to take it literally. You can take it as it's overindulgence.
It's overindulgence. Yes, and that's part of the explanation of some of these things. Like gluttony is not just about food; it's about consumerism also.
Yeah, overbuying, overspending.
Lust is not just about
sex.
Being oversexed. It could be having a mental affair with someone online,
or just jealousy of someone else's things that they have.
Yeah, and I'm going to go deeper in this. I'm just wanting to know, like, what y'all are think that y'all
desire.
Yeah. It's kind of like what leads you to do that.
Right.
Now that I kind of look at it, like, I was thinking, like, oh, I kind of feel like I fall into all of them. I think that violence, I know that, so that one is like violence against people, violence against yourself,
violence against animals.
And that's why I think, for me, violence against myself, because I don't always treat myself like a temple because I'm gluttonous or...
Well, and I think our society, that's what I was talking, I was trying to get to the point where I think our society is somewhere between heresy, violence, fraud, treachery, greed. I mean, there's corporations that are greedy, that they abuse their employees, and they abuse their consumers just to make more money. The heresy. When you're talking heresy, you kind of have to be careful, because there's that religious connotation with heresy. But there are people who purport to be religious who are not. Okay. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Well, okay, so heresy in this sense in Dante's Inferno, it probably might underlying heresy as far as religion is concerned, because it's about heaven and hell and everything.
Right, it is.
But like heresy religious. In like a real life sense, it would be about like denying yourself out of denying personal values or wisdom out of arrogance or stubbornness.
Okay. And and then like I say, the violence, Kristen's spot on with the violence. We live in a very violent society where
and I think in this, like, don't take it so narrowly as like physically beating up people.
No, but I'm thinking about road rage. People, engage in road rage. We have countries attacking other countries. Those are all forms of violence, So there's a lot of stuff there that applies to our world. Fraud, treachery.
There are two levels that are violence type related. There's wrath and there's violence.
Right.
So I feel
like wrath is like anger.
Wrath is anger and revenge.
But violence, that's what I was saying. Violence isn't just like physically beating up or verbally beating up on someone. I think in the context in Dante's Inferno, violence means it's the opposite of what. Think about yourself. What's the opposite of violence to yourself?
Denying yourself.
Or just taking care of yourself, right? That's what violence is. It's the opposite of being good to yourself.
Yeah, so violence, well, first I'll say, I feel like I'm between or a mix of wrath and gluttony, because I do
hold a grudge, or I do that too.
Well, so for the gluttony, I do overindulge in things. I mean, obviously I'm overweight, so I do overindulge in food, but I overindulge in watching TV. I overindulge in buying stuff that I really don't need. I overindulge, and I don't think about my health, mental or physical health. I totally overindulge in things, which a lot of Americans do. That's like a big thing. Right. Consumerism is
just
very
food for me.
Yeah, it's everything. I don't really need that extra blanket, even though I want this really cute blanket. I already have 9 other blankets. I really don't need 10 blankets. Even if it's cute, even if they're all in different patterns, I don't really need all of those things. I don't really need another pair of shoes, even though this specific pair of shoes matches this specific outfit. I'm only going to wear it with that one outfit. I just need one pair of functional black shoes to wear to work. I don't need 20 pairs of shoes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But with media and directed ads and everything like that,
we are in a
in a consumerism society. So all of these personalized and directed ads, they send you emails, they send you texts, they follow your social media, whatever, and they're like, yes, you do need these lime green shoes to go with your lime green t-shirt.
And we've had this discussion at the end of a podcast where whatever we were talking, something that we discussed in the podcast with our phones turned off. And after the podcast, suddenly we've got ads for something we mentioned on the podcast.
Yeah, and
so even when you think those ads aren't directed because you've said, I don't want directed ads or whatever, it's still listening. It's still doing
Well,
it.
sure. Yeah, your phone is always constantly listening to you. And I don't know about your phone since you have an older phone, Cindy. But Krista and I have the same phone, and
I don't have Siri turned on. I will guarantee you that.
And so, like, if you look right now, it's dark, but Google occasionally will listen. If there's a green light on your phone, that means your phone is listening to you.
I have that block. Well,
I notice it quite often.
The in recent updates on your iPhone, it has
you can turn it
opt
off.
out of tracking. So yeah.
But I'm just saying, for those of you that don't know that, you can totally go on. And turn off like a bunch of stuff.
But
like
even
I have
so,
like my location turned off.
My
on
location
a lot of things
is
and
turned
everything.
off.
Like,
yeah.
Although we won't get into that. I'll go back to what we were talking.
Oh, go ahead. Finish what you're saying, and then I want to circle back to something.
Oh, my other thing when I say wrath, it's not because like I'm angry all the time. It's because wrath also talks about suppressing emotions and
not forgiving, not letting go of forgiveness, or not.
Well, like it in a broader sense, it's like suppressing all emotions, and I'm very guilty of that, especially since my parents have died. I prefer to be in this like state of where I prefer to avoid things that
denial.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I prefer to like not watch like shows like This Is Us or movies that are going to make you cry or something like that, because I don't want to feel those emotions of loss and sadness and everything like that. So I'm very much like overindulgent, but I'm also very like I control and suppress my anger to the point where if something makes me mad, but I've always kind of been like this ever since I was a kid.
Well, you are a Sagittarius.
Yeah, something will make me mad for like 5 seconds and I'll break it, and then either mentally or physically, and then I'm over it.
Yeah.
And I prefer to stay in like the over it.
Right. So what I want to do is go back. We've talked about what we are, but I want you to go back and start at the top with Limbo, and let's talk about what they were in
Dante's Inferno.
And then we can talk about each one, how those things apply. Because I see some different things.
I'll talk about what they are in Dante's Inferno, and then I want to talk about like how they relate to real life.
Yeah.
Which I've done some research and taken some notes on this, and I've been thinking about this for at least like a couple of weeks, and on how they relate to real life, which is the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, because I do feel like it's very relatable.
Right.
So, like in Limbo, there's no torture. You're just separated from God. You're just there. You just exist.
Right.
Which
is a pretty lonely place.
So if you just exist, really, like, you're not doing anything with your life. That's the real life.
You're separated from God.
Yeah, people live passively. You don't question anything. You don't seek any deeper meaning or truth. You don't research anything. You just take it as it is.
For some of us is a torture in and of itself to be in to feel that. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I was in a situation like that, that would feel torturous to me, because I've always been a questioner. I've always been a seeker. I've always wanted to know. Does that make sense?
It kind of bothers me sometimes when people don't ask questions.
Yes.
When they just like take the information that's fed to them and they're just like, okay, bye.
And if if you're a seeker or whatever, and you are passing through that level of hell, you're like, this is horrible. I could not live like this,
Right, and limbo is eternal separation.
Eternal separation
from God. God. Constantly just being
Nothing.
in your own head.
But you're not really even in your
own
own
head. You
head.
don't even have that ability to say,
you're not
God,
living a
is
life.
this what I'm supposed to be doing? Yeah, it's just forever.
Yeah, you're just like there.
Oh, I'm just here.
You're just sitting there.
I'm
just
just sitting there
just
doing
like,
nothing.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
And there are people who live their life like that right now.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how that relates to real life, is like people living their life like that. So like the next one is lust. And so if you're in lust in the inferno, you're just constantly being blown wind at you. That's your torture, is like you're
violent wind.
Violent wind. Yeah, you're just constantly being and so like the real life parallel for lust would be like you let relationships, addictions, physical desires control you. You let your inner base desires control everything.
I think
that you
do. What we were talking about, not having that moderation for anything.
Right.
To me, that's lust, because it's not
just about sex. It's about anything. Like,
well, and it comes with the gluttony. The lust part of it is wanting it. Mm-hmm. The gluttony part is imbibing in it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that...
So if you're living in a state of lust, you are always wanting.
That's why
more.
The gluttony part, I feel like our Amber and I can relate on that one. It's not the gluttony itself. It's the lusting for it, because whatever we get, whatever we're wanting, we're
enough.
Still wanting.
Right.
We're still left wanting.
Okay.
So then that brings me to gluttony. So the punishment for gluttony is that you are lying in gross slush. You're like in, I don't know, think of like a thick, swampy, jello-y grossness. And you can't move. You're just like stuck there. So, and that kind of symbolizes overindulgence. So you're immovable because you're stuck by your overindulgence. So, and then, real life parallel would be consuming too much food, consuming too much media, buying too many things. And you don't think about the consequences for yourself or for others. So, yeah, gluttony and lust are kind of very hand in hand. So, the next one would be greed. And for greed, you're pushing heavy weights endlessly. So you're pushing heavy things endlessly, endless heaviness. And so that would be like greed in real life would be placing money or status or anything above other people or your own ethics or your own well-being. So, putting things outside, well, I mean, money, you can control it kind of, but putting things like that outside your control, like obsessing over it. So, in your level of hell, you're obsessively pushing for the next thing. You're obsessively pushing for money, pushing for status. Nothing is good enough. You're pushing, and it's heavy, and you're pushing. Okay, all right, so what's the next one? Wrath. Okay, so wrath, you're constantly swimming or drowning in the river Styx. So wrath, you're constantly drowning inside your own head, pretty much.
Well, yeah, you are. You are
so consumed by whatever it is.
Whatever that feeling is that you can't even keep your head out of water. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so busy suppressing, you're so busy lashing out, you're so busy being angry that you're constantly drowning, and that would be a real life parallel to that. All right, the next one, number 6, would be heresy. That means that you're trapped in a tomb that's always burning. So you're trapped in this burning consistency. So, and the real life parallel would be, and we talked about it, denying personal values or wisdom out of arrogance or stubbornness. So you're trapped in your own burning stubbornness.
Oh, and here's my interesting take on this. So, I'm seeing denial of immortality as heresy, and when you think about it, heretics are people who deny God.
Or they're denying something.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like biblically. If we're talking about Christian religion, if you're denying Christ or God, then where do you go?
Right.
Hell. And their interpretation of hell is fire and brimstone.
Right. But heresy, biblical heresy, if you're talking Catholic Church, which is where that came from, that was also anybody who believed. I mean, the Calvinists were considered to be heretics. So anything that went against the Catholic Church's specific thing was heretical.
Yes.
Right. So so it's not just again, that you don't believe in God or that you deny God. It's that you deny any of these things that they're trying to teach. Does that make sense?
Which is basically if you're looking at the 10 Commandments, it's basically
well, no, but I mean, they would think because they believed that people should be able to read the Bible, and the Catholic Church said that was heretical.
Right. Every religion believes that all the other religions are wrong.
Or heretical.
Much, yeah.
And they all pretty much, if we're talking the 5 major religions that has a heaven and a hell type place.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe in that particular one or that branch of that one, then the alternative is fire and brimstone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to violence. And violence is pretty interesting because there are even more levels to violence because there are different types of violence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you commit violence against other people, then you are stuck in a vat of boiling blood for the rest of your life.
Because you are drawing blood.
Yeah. So you're being boiled alive by blood. If you commit violence against yourself, then you are stuck in the suicide trees, which means that you're constantly committing suicide and hanging yourself on a tree for eternity. And then if you commit violence against God, then you are being sucked in burning quicksand for eternity.
Okay.
And so, I mean, violence is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it is.
You know, like how that relates to, abuse, self-harm, hatred at others or community. Violence just doesn't destroy bodies. It damages your spirits. It damages relationships. It damages your
Which is
self-worth.
what I was talking about earlier. When I was saying violence, it's not just about, like, shooting other people. Yeah. It's about taking care of yourself.
There are different levels of violence.
If you're not eating healthy, are you being violent against yourself?
Well, yeah, if you're not taking care of yourself physically.
That's what I mean.
And then
you're just slowly committing suicide.
Exactly. Right. Like if you overindulge with gluttony, you're slowly committing food gluttony.
Right.
You're slowly committing suicide. If you are diabetic and you continue to overindulge in sweets, you are slowly committing suicide.
Not just sweets. It's
not
just
carbs.
Sweets.
Right. Yeah.
Anything that converts sugar.
Everything converts to sugar.
Well,
right.
Proteins convert to sugar. So
okay,
it's
so
not
if
even
you're
just
overindulgent in your, macros or whatever.
Your carb macros.
Yeah, then you're slowly committing suicide. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I won't talk about that one further. I'm going to suppress that because then that makes me think about my parents who slowly committed suicide.
Yeah,
as did my parents.
It's deep.
Or my
when
dad.
You think about it.
Even my mother, who is, dealing with Alzheimer's, that is also similarly related because they believe that some of those things that cause that dementia can also be caused by the foods that you eat and stuff, and that unhealthy lifestyle.
Yeah, so everything kind of.
So really, her personality died.
Yeah.
She is not the personality she was when I was a young person. So, yeah.
Okay.
Fraud.
So, in the fraud level, there are 10 ditches with various twisted punishments for people that deceive.
Ditches.
Yeah. So there are multiple ditches and they're called bolgias.
Spell that, please.
Bolgias. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And they are for different types of fraud.
Okay.
That people are constantly in. So there's, according to Dante, there are 10 types of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
There are the panderers and seducers. So you're manipulating others for personal gain. There are the flatterers, those that lie with praise to other people. There are the simoniacs, which is the corrupt clergy.
Okay.
Church officers that are selling fake things to people. And then there are the sorcerers and the false prophets. So people that are fake predicting things. There are the corrupt politicians. There are the hypocrites.
Yeah.
There are the thieves. There are the evil counselors, which you use intelligence and speech to mislead others for political or whatever kind of gain. There are the sowers of discord.
Sowers
of discord. I can't talk today, apparently. Sowers of discord that are on it, that are they could be family members.
They're just there to make trouble.
Yeah, pretty much the stirs.
The pot stirrers.
Yeah. And then there are the falsifiers, which are the liars. Like the straight up, I'm going to lie to you to your face all the time.
Wow,
and there are people, there are a lot of people who do
thieves
that.
and liars are going into the same,
But thieves are committing fraud,
Yeah, so thieves have a different... So thieves have a different... And if you want me to get even deeper into these holes that they go in, if you are a panderer or a seducer, you are being whipped constantly in this hole. If you are a flatterer, you are being dipped constantly in a river of excrement.
Ew, gross. So if you're giving people false comments, oh, you look so pretty,
you're giving them lip service.
Wow, you're getting dipped in poop.
But think about it, because you are dishing out poop.
You are.
You are dishing
giving
out
crap. So now you get to get dipped in it, because everyone that you gave it to, we were dipping them in crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
everything's like that.
If you are, if you're a corrupt preacher, then you're being buried constantly upside down in a hole filled with flames.
Okay.
So you're being constantly baptized with flames.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay, so if you are a false prophet, that means your head is constantly being twisted backward.
Nope.
Because you're giving people backwards
information, yeah. For your own gains or whatever.
You are a corrupt politician, that means that you are constantly being dipped in boiling pitch, sticky and dark for your lies.
Yeah. Pitch is what they use to tar people.
Yeah. And then if you're a hypocrite, that means that you are forced to wear a gilded lead cloak that's heavy all the time. You're being being pushed down by heavy clothes. If you're a thief, that means that you're constantly being bitten by snakes. If you're an evil counselor, then you are constantly being wrapped in individual flame, being consumed by how you deceived other people.
Oh, okay.
And if you are a sower of discord, you're being mutilated and torn apart repeatedly.
Because you tore other people apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are a falsifier or an impersonator, a liar, you're afflicted constantly with disease, madness, stench, and deformity, symbolic of how you're lying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
everything that all of the punishments are all apropos to what the crime is. I mean, it's
the punishment fits the crime.
The punishment fits the crime. Yes.
Yeah, and so I mean, like in real life, that's very self-explanatory. You're a liar. You're a manipulator. You're a gaslighter. You violate professional trust. That's definitely like self-explanatory for real life. Okay, so
then we have treachery. Right?
Treachery, last one. You are constantly frozen in ice.
Oh.
Except if you are the worst treacherous person, you are also being chewed by Satan.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You were being what?
Chewed by Satan. Like he's constantly
you.
biting you.
Biting you, yeah.
He chews you up and spits you out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Used you.
So, treachery is the ultimate betrayal. That you betray.
Say that one was at the end.
Yeah, that's at the end, the very bottom of all of the circles.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
The deepest wounds come from those we love. So treachery is being betrayed by the people closest to you. So that's the explanation for that is like the deepest wounds come from those we love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's very interesting and very insightful of how, say, if your own personal hell is gluttony, overindulgence, mentally you're in this big sludge where all you want is to just buy and go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty deep.
So I was actually looking at Dante's levels of hell, and I was really curious how they coincided with the 10 Commandments.
Okay.
Because I was looking for maybe answer Amber, because obviously Dante's level of hell is not biblical, but he was a Catholic.
Yes.
And so his models of sin and stuff is based on his Catholic beliefs.
Yes.
And so
well, that's funny. There are 10 commandments, 9 levels, 7 sins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's where I was like, I wonder, how those are broken down. And so in the 10 commandments, there's don't steal and don't lie. And that's why I was like, oh, thieves and liars are together in a sense. In fraud, because in the 10 commandments that's 2 separate.
Violence would be thou shalt not kill, right? Heresy would be you would have no other god before me.
Yeah, so the first commandment would be heresy.
Idols,
yeah,
right. Don't misuse God's name and keep the Sabbath. Those first
the second one would also be heresy.
And you look at the levels of hell, right? And basically treachery is the very bottom circle, right? Which is honor thy parents. So that's the first commandment that has not to do with God himself,
right,
but of other humans, right? Mankind. So that was really interesting that how those kind of, it's flipped.
Well, and lust and gluttony and greed, those kind of come in the covet. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor.
That's the last commandment. So it's almost like seeing of the 10 commandments, because when you look at forgiveness, believing in Christ and being forgiven, you can be forgiven for all of those if you believe in him, which is the top one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the opposite, right? It's almost like being in limbo. If you look at limbo's punishment is the least painful, right?
Right.
Because that's
You're just
basically
there.
it's
Yeah,
for
it's-
everyone who doesn't believe in God.
Perhaps, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's my take. That's my take. So I'm not,
in some
trying
religious contexts, they believe that limbo is where you go until they
to... Is
do
that
the sorting.
purgatory?
Oh, that's right. You're right. But some people equate
Boy,
purgatory and limbo as the same thing.
Dante has them separate, like
Yeah.
he has them
Oh,
in three
because
different...
purgatory is the one before you go to limbo, right? Or no?
Well, no, so he has for his...
But some people use those terms interchangeably.
yeah,
So,
some people do.
Mhm.
But Dante has, because he has 3 sections of his Divine Comedy,
Oh, this is just one part of that.
yeah,
isn't
this
it?
is hell.
Yes.
Hell is one part, purgatory is another part, and then heaven is another part.
Oh, so this Dante's levels of hell is part of the Inferno, which is...
Yeah, the Dante's Inferno, which
Thank
is
you.
a,
Okay,
which is
and
a,
that's the part that
so
I'm
the
like,
Divine
still trying
Comedy
to-
is like 3 books,
Right.
and so
The
the
Divine
Inferno is
Comedy.
book 1.
Because he talks about hell first.
Why does
Yeah.
he call it the Divine Comedy?
Probably because he had a sense of humor and and he wrote these to kind of like reflect real life.
Yeah, because I was looking
That's
to
my
see if maybe
assumption.
he had been given like this as a vision and inspired to write it out, like Paradise Lost.
Yeah,
okay.
he had that as a vision.
Right.
Oh, okay. The reason that he called it the Divine Comedy, which is English, it was actually the Commedia, not Comida. And it's because it's
It's
is-
translated from Italian, so that makes
Right.
sense.
but he did it because it is a Greek comedy is the opposite of a Greek tragedy. So he did it after a Greek comedy, which means because instead of ending in death like a Greek tragedy, the story ends in elevation and triumph. So that's why it's a comedy.
that makes sense
So it's a
because like
cautionary
a
tale?
tragedy is everybody's dead. A comedy is it starts out kind of sad or whatever, but it ends hopeful.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's like funny. It ends
Right.
hopeful.
Right. And that's that distinction between the word comida and comedia.
Yeah. So the comedy ending ends with heaven, so it's hopeful.
So what are the
Yes.
names of
And
the
it's-
other?
So it's gonna be Inferno,
Mhm.
which is the levels of hell, Purgatorio,
Mhm.
which is purgatory, and then Paradiso,
Oh!
which is heaven.
Paradiso.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it starts
Why had I
bad.
never
It starts
heard
with
of
hell.
The other ones. Interesting.
It starts bad. It starts with hell, and then the next book it's you're growing, growth, and then the third book is you're ending in a more happier place.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the actual concept of the story is that someone is traveling through these,
Yeah,
you know,
they're traveling. Yeah.
and he's commenting on the different things
Oh,
that he sees.
Isn't it Dante is the person, right? Who's going through the... Or is
Dante was the writer.
Okay, then who's the person going through the...
All right, so the major characters are Dante. He's the main character, and he's like an everyman. So he represents every person searching for meaning and salvation.
Right.
The human condition.
Yeah, pretty much. So Dante, the protagonist, so he's the narrator. And so then there's Virgil, and he represents reason and wisdom, and he's guiding Dante
yes.
through hell. And then later in life there's another character, and her name is Beatrice, and she represents like ideal, everything ideal, love, grace.
Okay.
And she doesn't appear until like purgatory and
Okay.
then through heaven. And then of course Satan, because we're in hell, is also a character, and he is trapped in the ice.
Okay.
And he is chewing on Judas.
Ah.
So he's trapped in the ninth circle, and he's chewing on Judas.
Yes.
And then he's also chewing on Brutus and Cassius, the betrayers of Julius Caesar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess the main character would be Dante.
Yes,
himself,
but Dante
or
is also
he's a person.
Dante Alighieri, I believe is his his name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but
Might be Alighieri
yeah, it could be. I'm not sure.
or Alighieri. I don't know.
I don't know either. But he was the author, so it is a self. And I can't remember. It's been so long. I think he wrote it in first person, right?
Yes. And then, okay, so it was actually funny, like anecdote. It was actually originally called, it wasn't called the Divine Comedy. It was originally called Commedia.
Okay.
Or Italian for comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was first printed in the 1500s, it was renamed to the La Divina Commedia.
Okay. Yeah, we did not read all of the entire thing when I was, and obviously it's very long.
Well, yeah.
So, and when I was in high school, I think we read like some excerpts from it. I think we read parts of Inferno.
Yeah, I actually own it. It's a pretty big, thick book.
And I'm thinking on my bookshelf, I have a paperback that says Dante's Inferno. And
so you probably just have book one of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, why didn't they just put them all together? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
they
have
weren't
a
published
big,
together.
thick book of
same
the
reason
Divine
that
Comedy.
Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Rings and all of that, all of that are often written in multiple books also, or published in multiple books.
Separate individual books.
Separate individual books, often. Sometimes you could get one big book, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I always thought it was just that itself.
Right.
The Inferno.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it
Well,
was.
and I don't know how they were published. I don't know. They may have been published many years apart from each other.
Well, it's like the Odyssey.
Yeah, the Odyssey.
No, nobody knows that there's actually
The
Iliad,
Iliad.
which comes
Yes.
before the Odyssey.
Right.
Yes.
Because the
isn't
Inferno...
that Virgil is the writer of that, right?
No.
Wait, who's
Homer.
Homer's
Virgil? What did he write?
he was a Roman poet, and he wrote the Aeneid.
The Aeneid.
Okay.
Aeneid, yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's also a character in this.
Yeah.
What's the Aeneid then?
It's a play.
Okay. Well, yeah.
He composed 3 of the most
haven't
famous
read that.
poems
That's the
in Latin
longest-
literature.
Aren't they like the longest
The
poems?
Eclogies, or the Bucolics, the Georgics,
I
and
always
the
get all of these things mixed up.
Aeneid. I'm probably saying them all wrong, but yeah. Oh, here's the answer. Why is Virgil is in Dante's Inferno because of his intellectual, moral, and poetic authority. That he was his guide.
That's right.
So it's he just chose someone that was there to be a guide.
Got it.
And he
maybe he looked up to him as
right,
because
yes.
So I had to look because I was like, no, I know this. He wrote the Trojan story about Troy.
Virgil.
It's modeled after Homer's
Right.
Iliad and Odyssey.
Right.
Yeah.
So they probably all
That's the Aeneid.
yeah.
Yes. Am I saying it
It's
right?
Aeneid.
Aeneid.
I thought it was Aeneid.
Aeneid, maybe. I'm not. Your Latin is way better than mine. So
I think it's the Aeneid.
Aeneid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aeneid.
Wow. So funny, like you were talking about asking what was the longest epic poem. And it's actually an Indian epic poem. It's 1.8 million words long.
Wow.
And it's called the Mahabharata.
Mahabharata. Interesting.
Yeah. Huh.
Longer than the Iliad and Odyssey combined.
Wow. Okay.
Huh. So here's the thing. I was like, doesn't somebody go in through the circles of hell? Yes. In the Aeneid, book 4, Aeneas descends into the underworld, a scene that inspired Dante's journey through hell.
Okay. There you have it.
Virgil
so there you go. Virgil inspired Dante.
In Inferno. Yeah. So the writer of Aeneid is what inspired. So basically, Dante took that.
But Virgil actually lived before Christ. He died before Christ. So he died in 19 BC. So his concept of those levels of hell have nothing to do with the Christian.
Well, the Inferno was not originally written down until the 1300s. Dante wrote it on paper. It wasn't printed.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Virgil. She was saying,
well, I know.
Virgil was what inspired those levels, the original levels of hell.
Well,
And so that idea of the levels of hell were not even based on Christian religious concept at all.
Of today.
Of today, yeah.
Right. Now, Virgil, I don't know about Virgil's levels of hell. So they may be very different. And then Dante, adapted them to the Catholic faith idea. But that original levels of hell that Virgil wrote about had nothing to do with it.
There were no really levels of hell. It was like parts of the underworld.
Okay.
Right. And when you think about like the river Styx,
right,
which is where that's in Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey, it's in other things.
Right.
That's Greek mythology.
Right.
That's well before Virgil wrote that. That was common.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is that some of those concepts come from that more ancient than Christianity.
Yeah.
Christianity's hell.
So just like a part of the Aeneid inspired Dante to write his levels of hell.
Very cool.
Yeah. Wow. We really took a deep dive into that one. That was pretty fun.
I like and it's more of like that analyzing stuff. What do we call that? Would you put all the little sticky notes on stuff? Annotating.
Yes.
That's one of the books like I want to annotate. Like I feel like that book itself like deserves its own like college
That would
course.
be a fun one to annotate as a group.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I'm sure there are too, because I took a college course on Homer.
Yeah.
Not Homer. No. I took it on Paradise Lost.
Oh yeah. I read parts of that one as well. But
there's another one after Paradise Lost called Paradise Regained. Did you know that one?
Yeah. I want to go back to the idea that, we were talking about applying these things to the today we live in. And I really feel like our earth, as we live in it now, is in a lot of ways already those levels of hell.
It is.
And that was one of the reasons why I suggested
there are,
this.
People whose spirituality speculates that we are actually in hell.
Well, Satan is the god of this earth,
realm.
This earth, yes.
Or not the god, the ruler, or the yes, and that all of these things, because we have people right now. Not only are people being punished, but we are being punished by those people who live those other levels of hell.
I've always said that hell is what you make of it.
Right.
When people try to talk to me about hell, I tell them that I don't believe in it, because we're in hell, and hell is what you make of it.
Right. Well,
so that makes sense.
There, and there are people who think that, this is our punishment now, and eventually we will rise above this, or whatever and
right.
get out
Don't
of it.
get sucked into what's going on in this world.
Right.
That's
right. Go through those levels of hell and get out of it. And that,
yeah,
I think
don't
that was
stay in them.
right. And I think that was part of Dante's point in this is
Don't
guide
stay
me
in
through. Let Virgil guide me through these. Don't let
Right.
me get stuck in these
Which
levels.
is honestly
because people get stuck in those levels
Right.
and don't move
a
on.
lot of the philosophers felt the same way about
Right.
that. It's like, don't be stuck in this
In the
one place. Like,
right.
elevate above that.
Right. Yes, always try to elevate above that because there's always something better. There's always something more enlightened and something, so if you keep making yourself better, if you let go of the lust, then you can move out of the lust and into something else. And then if you can let go of the gluttony, you can move into something else. And, so eventually you can move into purgatory or you can move into what is paradise, which is a place where you have unleashed all the chains of the mortal body and your mortal needs and your selfish desires or whatever, selfish motives. If you can get rid of all of those things, then you will live in a paradise. So,
Yeah.
Well, that's why I say, like, the human condition, because our condition is to, like, be almost like trapped in ourselves
yeah.
and, like, oh, this is what I am, and not being able to, like, live beyond our flesh.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I was like, is the Divine Comedy like a cautionary tale? I would be more interested to, like, maybe circle back and like explore Purgatorio and Paradiso.
Right.
All classical literature is kind of a cautionary tale because
Yes.
it
Yeah.
all, like, if you think of Shakespeare,
Aesop's
everything
fables.
that he has ever written has been kind of a cautionary tale
Yes.
because he writes about real life. The Odyssey, it's a man's or a person's struggle.
Yeah.
He's fighting off, like, mythological this, Cyclops that, but it's
he overcomes them with
it's really
smart
about
thinking
overcoming
Right.
life's
Right.
obstacles. It's not about how he's actually slaying a Cyclops. It's he's overcoming that
With his
obstacle.
determination
Yeah.
and, his desire to get home.
And that's
Yeah.
why we
Or to
should
return to
still
who he
read
really is.
classical literature.
Right. Yeah. Just like, I recently read, I think we were talking about the Master of Ballantrae. It's a very old story. It's about the Jacobite rebellion in this family and how one very selfish, self-absorbed person basically wrecked the
whole
lives,
families.
the whole
Yeah.
family. And it is. And if any one of the people in that family had stood up to him and seen him for what he was and refused him that power, it would have changed everything. And I think that's the magic of that. It also is a cautionary tale. And you may not be able to relate to the Scottish Rebellion, but you can certainly relate to selfish people in your life and not allowing them to wreck everything for everybody. And that's where it is. You can't stay silent. You have to speak up, because if you're not part of the resolution, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
I just made it. All of this made me think of I think it's considered a classic literature now. The Neverending Story. Don't shoot me. Don't hate me.
No,
But
it
don't
really
not
is.
the movie.
It's
not
an
the
odyssey.
movie. We're not
It is.
and we're not talking about the movie, because if you've only seen the movie, you're only seeing the first part of it, which is
right.
everything falling apart.
Yeah.
And then he gets the chance at the end. Remember, she gives him a little grain of sand in the movie.
right.
That's just the first
That
half
little
of the
seed,
first
yeah.
book.
Yeah.
So what he does is he gets that chance with that little seed to recreate everything. And as you remember, like, the boy like lost his mom. He was attacked by bullies. His dad really didn't pay attention to him, and like, you know, he did things like skip school and stuff like that. So he was kind of a troubled kid, right? And so when he got that opportunity in the book to recreate the world, he made all of these choices based off of
his pain.
So it was his ego was making those choices.
Right.
So pride and envy, attachment, like he built a world that really wasn't, and fear, it really wasn't all that great. And so as he was building a world, he was learning from those parts of him and letting go of those things. So it's really interesting. Like, I like comparing those kind of things together because I was like, oh, wow, he's kind of going through that same journey. You're right,
it's the
Amber.
soul's journey.
It's an odyssey, yeah.
It's an odyssey. It's the soul's journey. It's the hero's journey.
Yeah, so you really should go back and read that book too if you haven't read that book.
You know what? I need to read that one because I never have read that one. I know.
So good. But now I kind of want to go and read the Infernos, but I think I need to have the Purgatorio and Paradiso because I feel like if I just read the first one, I would be
just start with the first one, and when you get done, come back and read.
I bet you could get it for free because
it's
from what I understood, if it's over 100 years old, it's free.
Yeah, it's in the public domain. Yeah. You can find it anywhere online.
Yeah. So don't let that stop you from reading it. You can go get a free ebook of it just about anywhere. I believe you can also download it on like Amazon.
Same thing with Virgil. Same thing with Dante. Same thing with.
And I can say half price books. If you're wanting to buy it, they have a ton of them on paperback. At least the Inferno was, because I remember when I bought mine, there was like a whole like row of them at half price books. They probably have them at all the half price books.
I think you can get it free on Kindle, or at least you used to be able to, because I have most of the when I first got a Kindle, I have downloaded most.
I did
of the
too. I went a little crazy. I was like, "Oh, it's free! Add." Yeah.
But I have a paper copy of it, a big, thick, nice paper copy of it. Alrighty. So what are we talking about next week?
Next
ladies?
week, we're talking about Project Life, which
we've mentioned many, many times.
It is a scrapbooking style. However,
it is a memory documentation.
Don't skip out on listening just because you don't scrapbook, because
it is more about memory documentation than it is scrapbooking. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. All right. So we want to hear from our readers. If you've read Dante's Levels of Hell, if you have any suggestions of what we should talk about next, give us a talk to us on Facebook, send us an email, check out our Heard It on the Podcast blog, and we'll have links to everything on it. And we will talk to you guys next week with Project Life.
Yay!
Bye!